Greetings and welcome to this at-home concert series devoted to the piano concertos of Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. I'm Kate Ashby and I'll be your host for this series of intimate musical programs featuring pianist Alan Murray. Alan, it's nice to join you today for the first of your series of programs in May and June of 2020, where each week we'll explore a different aspect of Mozart's life, times and artistic evolution, and provide a brief introduction to each concerto.
Greetings, Kate. Yes, very nice to join you today for the start of this Mozart Concerto series. Thank you for hosting these conversations and for your generous and spirited assistance in producing the series. I'm sure our listeners will appreciate the commentary you'll be providing to give us all a friendly guided tour of the life and times and the art of Mozart, whose name remains universally familiar in the world today, nearly 230 years after his passing.
Indeed it does. So tell us, what inspired you to present a concert series now from your home?
Well, at the moment, late spring 2020, in the midst of our ongoing pandemic, with difficult, even tragic consequences all around us, not to mention social and physical distancing and the closure of concert venues, there's virtually no other way to offer music performance or other artistic expressions. You and I and many others were performing publicly until things suddenly changed earlier this year. And despite early signs as we speak of a reopening of society, we just don't know how long these conditions will persist. But there's also been an amazing burst of innovation and inventiveness this spring in presenting online performances under these difficult circumstances, which is wonderful, and I really just wanted to do my part to contribute to the richness of musical and artistic offerings for people to enjoy in the comfort and safety of their own homes.
Yes, music is certainly important and can be a great source of hope, comfort and inspiration in difficult times, and a way to stay connected despite our distances. What drew you to Mozart's piano concertos in particular?
Well, first and foremost is the simple fact that these works are truly crown jewels of the classical music repertoire, of all music for that matter, across all forms and styles, not just for piano, but for all instruments, works that inspire with their stunning beauty, subtlety, freshness, excitement, spontaneity, and above all, their vast range of emotions. They speak a universal language of poetry and lyricism, of hope and reflection, and they have a transparency and clarity about them that is always fresh and inspiring, as if they had just been written.
Yes, they certainly are treasures of the repertoire, and Mozart's music is well loved throughout the world.
That's right, and these are precisely the works I had so looked forward to preparing for performance with our newly formed chamber orchestra, the Westchester Chamber Soloists, comprising a wonderful and diverse group of musicians, including you, that held our debut concert on March 8 at Sarah Lawrence College. As it happened, we very soon thereafter had to postpone our remaining 2020 programs as a result of the pandemic.
It was certainly a special performance for our players and our audience, and Mozart's music was the perfect repertoire to launch our new orchestra.
As you know, that concert included one of Mozart's piano concertos, number 19 in F major, absolutely one of my favorites. And that live in-concert performance is included in this series. That was to be the first of many, if not all, of Mozart concerto offerings for all instruments, not just piano, for the Westchester Chamber Soloists. But with the universal quarantine requirements, those plans have for the time being been put on hold. Although performing or recording these works with pre-recorded orchestra accompaniment in no way compares with playing them with our own chamber orchestra, it seemed a fitting way to try to help fill the musical void we are now experiencing.
Yes, it's certainly a wonderful way to contribute, and what good fortune that WCS was able to present its debut concert on March 8th. We'll look forward to hearing the concertos live in concert when the performances can resume. But there are many concertos out there, and you've played and recorded live most of them. Why now all of Mozart's concertos? Do you feel like you have a special connection to these?
Well, in a sense, this has been a lifelong dream. When I was a student, shortly after I learned my first piece for piano and orchestra, Mozart's 23rd piano concerto, in fact, the great pianist and conductor Daniel Barenboim came to Carnegie Hall and performed all of Mozart's piano concertos with the English Chamber Orchestra, conducting from the keyboard, and I attended those concerts and never forgot the impression they left on me. The transparent sound of a finely tuned chamber orchestra, together with an inspiring solo part, and a seemingly endless array of wonderful melodies and continuously varying moods, seemed an irresistible combination. And so the thought of learning and performing these works was always a distant dream for me, one that started to become reality only recently with the creation of our new chamber orchestra.
It's interesting that Mozart's music is particularly suited for chamber orchestras.
Absolutely. And as you well know, chamber music is a great love of mine and of yours, and no collection of works in the classical repertoire approaches the ideal of balancing both the sonic variety of a full array of orchestral instruments with the intimacy of a chamber ensemble, as do Mozart's concertos. There's simply no comparison.
Yes, I wholeheartedly agree, and I'm delighted that you're able to share this magnificent music with our listeners. It's a wonderful journey to take, and we look forward to getting to know these concertos with you more closely as we follow along each week. As you said earlier, Mozart's piano concertos are regarded as the crown jewels of the classical era, and Mozart himself led an extraordinary life. Born in 1756, he died in 1791 at the age of only 35, and was the greatest composer of his day. As a composer, he reigned supreme in all forms of music, and he alone took and raised the concerto genre to a unique degree of excellence. In all, he composed some 40 concertos for a broad range of instruments, and 27 of these were keyboard concertos. But why so many concertos for piano? Why the obsession?
Apart from being the reigning composer of his time, Mozart was by all accounts the finest pianist and organist in Europe, and the finest conductor as well. Furthermore, he learned to play all of the orchestral instruments, both string and wind. But the piano, or actually an earlier version of the instrument known as the forte piano, was his virtuoso instrument of choice. And with the concerto as his preferred vehicle, this combination enabled Mozart to distinguish himself as both the most exceptional composer and performer of his time.
Mozart's genius was certainly evident from an early age, and the year 1781, when he was just 25, is regarded as the time he reached his compositional maturity. Virtually every work thereafter is a masterpiece. Between 1782 and 1786, he wrote 15 piano concertos, an extraordinary achievement.
Yes, it is. Mozart wrote 27 keyboard concertos in total, but the first 4 were student works written when he was just 11, and they are not his original works, but rather are mainly transcriptions of pieces written by others, and so we won't be including them in this series. Another 2 concertos of the 27 were written for 2 pianos and for 3 pianos respectively, so that leaves 21 original solo piano concertos, which is what this series will cover.
Thank you, Alan. And with that, let's get to the music.